if you look at all total population,
including people in Vermont.
Throwing some shade at Vermont.
we'll top it off.
All right. Welcome to episode 2 of the 9B podcast. And 9B, you must say, whatever is 9B? That is
What are those 9Bs?
beer, bourbon, Boulevard, with 3 bombastic, bloviating bros talking business and BS in Bryan, Texas. 9Bs. All right, this is
Amazing.
episode 2 of season 2, and we are talking about 2 pieces of sort of essay and poetry, and talking about the power of business and as entrepreneurialism, as embarking out on the unknown, and about how actually that is a mentality that is absolutely required if you're going to go do and accomplish anything. We have said many times that it feels like when you have gone all the way to the Pacific Ocean in the US, and then when we've explored the seas, and now we've been to the moon and we're exploring outer space, what is the actual new frontier anymore? And we maintain it actually is business. Business is the new frontier. It requires that pioneering spirit, and we are uniquely positioned inside the Texas Triangle, which is DFW down to Houston and Austin. This triangle is blowing up and will increasingly blow up. They're talking about twice the population of the state of Texas in the next 25 years. So it feels crowded now. It will feel unbelievably crowded by the time we have many, many grandchildren and possibly even great-grandchildren. So that is the trajectory. That means, though, that business is good. With all of these people, these industrious people who have that pioneering spirit, we are in for some.
I think
The ratio in
The
Texas
ratio-
has got to be higher.
Oh yeah. I'll give Texas some props on that. But I would say America as a if you look at all total population, what do you figure?
Including people in Vermont.
If you
Throwing some shade at Vermont.
What's going on?
what kind of percentage? What kind of percentage of all Americans do you think have that pioneering spirit, that entrepreneurial bent? It's got to be sub 1%.
No way.
No, it's not that low.
What do you think? 50%? No way it's that high.
I think it's a little more complex than that, because I think people come to that pioneering spirit maybe at different times in their lives, based on life experiences, based on whatever wounds and challenges maybe they were born into that was outside of their control.
I didn't have that at 20. It was having a ton of mouths to feed that suddenly made me.
I think there's still a.
But you could slice, you could cross section right now, this moment in time. How many people are in that engaged level? I mean, there's no way of knowing, obviously.
I think the American entrepreneurial heartbeat is very strong and probably gaining. That's what I think, especially in
like
Texas.
there's on an uptick for sure. Yeah.
I make no apologies for my remarks regarding Vermont. The Ben & Jerry's ice cream, the Bernie Sanders, and the socks with your Birkenstocks, you people have a lot to answer for. Moving on.
I think also, like, maybe this is wishful thinking, but even people who are on the dole, for lack of a better word,
The takers?
yeah. There's so many stories all the time of people deciding, like, this is a dead end. I don't feel good about myself being in this situation. I don't like being in this situation, and I'm gonna fight and do something different. And so most of those people, even maybe they don't know how to get themselves out of that situation, but I think they still feel that this is not where I want to be. This is not everything.
I think a lot of people enter entrepreneurship in that sense in frustration. They enter it as right off the bat, it's almost like it's a reaction to a complaint. And what I've learned over the decades is victimhood is going to set you back so fast, so hard. It's the opposite of what you need to be as an entrepreneur. You got to be thankful, positive, hopeful, ambitious, aggressive, and going complainer. What a waste of time. And so I do think a lot of people
stuff contaminates the fuel tank.
That's right. It's poison, man. It's like, but I think a lot of people enter into entrepreneurship through a complaint. They think the door they get into is, well, this sucks, my life sucks, I bet I could do better, which is a little bit of hope.
We hear a lot of times people's origin story has some kind of a theme of I was in a large organization, or I was working for somebody else and I didn't like how they did things, or I didn't like the culture, and I wanted to go and strike out on my own and try to do it myself, or I always wanted to own my own business, type thing. Yeah. There's still so much of that.
And even just like a spark of hope is enough, for sure. So, sorry, I'm off subject.
That's all right. All right, let's come back around. We will make sure that we link in the description these pieces. One of them is from the New York Review of Books. There was a book a few years ago called Manhood for Amateurs, The Wilderness of Childhood.
I got some things to say about this article.
This was by
I got some contentions myself.
by Michael Chabon.
Is it Chabon? Is it Chabon? I always said it Chabon.
Chabon.
Chabon?
Yeah. Okay.
Chabon.
All right, he is a lit professor out in Berkeley, California.
Yeah, it shows.
Okay, all right. And so this is a great little piece, though, that at least spotlights a problem, which is that we have too restricted the terrain where our children are able to explore and be pioneering in their mentalities and experience rise and fall, victory, defeat, etc. So we're going to read a few bits of that to kind of get the discussion going. But the second thing I'm going to link is the poem by Walt Whitman, Pioneers, O Pioneers, which is phenomenal, but it is a 4-pager kind of poem. And so I'm going to just read the opening, and the rest of it a delight, but that is for something for you to explore. So I think I would like to start with the Pioneer, O Pioneer, because it perfectly, I think, spotlights the very thing we were talking about related to business. Okay, so I'm going to just read a few of the stanzas here. Come, my tan-faced children, follow well in order. Get your weapons ready. Have you your pistols? Have you your sharp-edged axes? Pioneers, O pioneers. For we cannot tarry here. We must march, my darlings. We must bear the brunt of danger. We, the youth's sinewy races, all the rest on us depend. Pioneers, O pioneers. O you youths, Western youths, so impatient, full of action, full of manly pride and friendship, plain I see you, Western youths, see you tramping with the foremost. Pioneers, O pioneers. Have the elder races halted? Do they droop and end their lesson, wearied over there beyond the seas? We take up the task eternal, and the burden, and the lesson. Pioneers, O pioneers. And then starts the next passage with, all the past we leave behind. And I just think that is so inspiring. It makes me feel like I am somehow still tethered to a mentality that pushed to the edge of the continent, backfilled, and is creating always a hopeful view for the future and building. It's very encouraging to me. I've always loved this poem. I used to teach this as an educator. So, any thoughts on that before going?
I always get really encouraged when I hear older operators or older whatever, business owners or leaders or thought people or whatever. But I always get encouraged when I hear them talk about the kids are not that bad. The kids are going to be they're going to be okay.
The kids are all right.
Kids are all right. Every time I hear that, I'm like, okay, of the who?
The Who.
The who, that's right. And you see that, like, there is a propensity to be anxious or nervous about, oh my gosh, this upcoming Gen Alpha, they're just totally fried, whatever. But they're going to figure it out. Everybody has to figure it out. So, I don't know.
Some reportage that says they're the ones most in revolt against the AI revolutions, the one most skeptical of it.
They're probably going to see it clearer, for sure. And, it'll probably be that generation that cures cancer. It'll probably be that generation that figures out world hunger.
I don't remember where.
Finally delivers a truly good cocktail in a can.
Dare we to hope?
You and your dreams. So, one of the things that I have thought about many times is a quote that I heard years ago, which was that when the original settlers arrived at Plymouth Rock in 1620, there was no unemployment office. So there were no jobs, but there were plenty of work. There was plenty of work. So the idea of a distinction in our mind between a job, a role, a thing that's a listing on monster.com versus there's tons of work to do and to be done, that's a huge change. And it's a thing that I see even in my young children is like they understand there is an infinite amount of work and labor because all we have to do is build the world of tomorrow. And yet how that tethers to an actual position with a salary, those are two different concerns entirely. And I love that. And I love that the people who came to the United States were the small fraction of people from each country who had that drive. So we're a nation of people who act like and have a pioneering impulse. So everybody who stayed behind in Portugal or wherever, those were the ones who stayed. They had a settler's mindset, and everybody who left, whether that was through like necessity because I had no other prospects and I had to go risk it all to chop out some kind of existence in Colorado, or not, we are a nation full of ambition. That's exciting.
We got a whole lot of get up and go.
There's a lot of get up and go. Okay. The only other passage in Pioneers, O Pioneers that I wanted to remark on, two, is he's got a little stanza that he uses to describe the American flag, which I think is, as we are all over the world now in lots of different hot conflicts, is this phrase, raise the mighty mother mistress. He calls our U.S. flag the mighty mother mistress. Waving high the delicate mistress, over all the starry mistress, bend your heads all. Raise the fanged and warlike mistress, stern, impassive, weaponed mistress, pioneers, O pioneers.
That's pretty great.
That's the best description of the American flag I've seen. And then the last bit that I saw was, not for the delectation sweet, nor the cushion and the slipper, not the peaceful and the studious, not the riches safe and palling, not for us the tame enjoyment. Pioneers, O pioneers. It's like cushions and slippers and safety and tame enjoyments. This is not the thing that drives and propels us forward.
Cool.
All right, that's...
There's a Bible verse that I tend to wake up with on my mind almost every morning, which is, as my alarm's going off, little sleep, little slumber, little folding of the hands, and poverty is at your door. It's like, I might even be butchering the actual verse here, but
no, that's it.
That was it.
Yeah.
Man, every time I hit that snooze button, there's a little bit of guilt. I'm like, oh man, it could be right at the door, that poverty.
Yeah, hitting that poor button.
The poor button, yeah. So every time I do that, I'm like, no, and I get up.
Get up.
Get moving.
Okay.
Don't hit the poor button.
Saint Jose Maria Escrivá, who was a Spanish priest, lived through the Spanish Civil War. One of his spiritual teachings was the first fight in the spiritual battle every day is when your alarm goes off, to put those feet on the floor and right away, and to not turn off the alarm and stay slumbering. That's where it starts. Get those feet on the floor.
That's good.
Use that with our kids.
Yeah. King David has this in Psalms. It says that while I'm in my bed, I will give thanks. And so it's this, like, right when I wake up in the morning, that first fight of, I got to turn my mind towards a thankful heart. That first, like, 3 minutes, I don't think people give it enough credit for how important it is for the whole day.
When I had a bunch of teenagers in the house, we had a phrase which was, I want you to sleep in. Please, sleep in. You need the rest. Your body needs it. Just sleep in on the front side.
Go to bed early?
Yeah, that's your answer.
Yeah.
You're tired? Oh, I want you to sleep in. Go to bed at 9:30.
I bet they loved that.
They did. They loved it. They were always like, hey, Dad, what's that thing you say all the time?
Good. So good.
That's what they thought.
Give us your wisdom.
Yeah.
I love the imagery in Pioneers of Pioneers. He paints a majestic picture of the West. He creates those beautiful landscape paintings in your mind with his words. It's
gorgeous.
majestic.
Yeah. Okay. So the last piece to mention here is Manhood for Amateurs.
Follow that, Michael Chabon.
So now let me get into your mind. So what was the connection between Pioneers and now this piece?
This piece is that we are continually shrinking and padding and creating safety perimeters all the time for our young people. And his contention is that unless you explode those parameters and let kids go out and range and risk little micro dangers, and he explores all of that, then their whole, like, landscape, the map of their mind is shrunk, and it means that you've reduced the possibilities and even that sort of sense of personal ambition or efficacy to be able to go and do and accomplish great things. So he's kind of bemoaning that, and sort of goes back to his own past of growing up in the wilderness in Maryland. It's a great piece, and I also recommend that you find that and read it. Go ahead.
So I have so much issue with this piece. Now, I don't know Dr. Chabon, but you said he's a lit professor at Berkeley.
Yeah.
He writes in the New York Review of Books. And the first part of the piece, if he didn't say this explicitly, the imagery that he painted was streets in Flatbush teeming with kids. Lots of kids everywhere. That's why they could go run around and range around, because they were running in packs.
Yeah.
And then he gets out to his family moving to Berkeley, and it's our child, and then there was the family next door included a 9-year-old, so maybe there was more than one child. I think you can see where I'm going. And then down the other way on the street, there was a 9-year-old boy.
And they didn't know each other.
And this whole piece is he's fretting about window dressing, and there's this gaping hole of broken glass in the window, which is there's no kids being created.
Yeah.
And it's his side that made that possible. It's his side of the on the political spectrum that pushed that encouraged birth control and abortion and shrinking the family.
And delaying marriage.
Much
later in life, and then having one, maybe two children.
And so I'm like, great. The kids can't go range around anymore and have adventure because there's, and that's so important to imagination and storytelling. But the reason they can't do that is because they don't live in a world populated anymore that's teeming with children.
That's true. Yeah, there's nobody who can
I'm so exercised.
Run and get help when Tommy shot himself in the foot with his .22.
Yeah.
Right, stuff like that. Let me just read a few of the key passages that I thought were really good, and then we can kind of circle back on that. So he starts with, look, scary things could still be imagined to take place in the woods that I grew up in. Those woods had once included Indians and swashbuckling bootleggers and all kinds of things. And he says, I could reach on my bicycle a 1970s Schwinn Typhoon, Coke can red with a banana seat, a sissy bar, and an ape hanger handlebars. On it, I covered the neighborhood in a regular route for half a mile in every direction. I knew the locations of all my classmates' houses, the number of pets and siblings they had, the brand of popsicle they served, and the potential dangerousness of their fathers. He's talking about the map, and he says the map captured perfectly the mental maps of their worlds that children endlessly revise and refine. Childhood is a branch of cartography. You are mapping out the world around you. People read stories of adventure and write them down because they have themselves been adventurers. Childhood is, or has been, or ought to be, the great original adventure, a tale of privation, courage, constant vigilance, danger, and sometimes calamity. That is the nature of it. The thing that strikes me now when I think about the wilderness of childhood is the incredible degree of freedom my parents gave me to adventure there. A very grave, very significant shift in our idea of childhood has occurred since then. The wilderness of childhood is gone. The days of adventure are past. The land ruled by children, to which a kid may exile himself for at least some portion of every day from the neighboring kingdom of adulthood, has in large part been taken over, co-opted, colonized, and finally absorbed by the neighbors. I put a note and said, or helicopter parenting, right?
It does seem that he is blaming parents.
Yes, yeah.
So am I.
And then there's a passage
In a different way.
where he says the Berkeley neighbors never met. The 9-year-old boy, 3 houses down, never knew the other 9-year-old boy. Now look, there were reasons for all this concern. The helmeting and monitoring, the corralling of children into certified zones of safety is in part the product of the Consumer Reports mentality, the generally increased consciousness in America of safety and danger. Okay, this will not be a popular thought, but a over-fixation on safety is the feminine impulse. It is. Like, fathers generally are not the ones who are like, oh my gosh, he's not wearing his helmet. They don't do that. They're like, yeah, he's going to crack himself and then he's going to get up and he won't ever do that again. Like, there is that activity has...
Can I edit what you're saying a little bit?
Go ahead.
I think fathers do have a safety impulse, but it's from a different place. It's of, he's not wearing his helmet, he cracks his skull, that's going to cost X amount of money to...
Yes. Right.
Get him better or take care of him.
He
better get his helmet on.
Here's my, as a father, beef with this piece. All right? Mm-hmm. That world doesn't exist is not because of over helicoptery parents. It's because that world doesn't exist. So, you look at homelessness. It's raised by 50% since like the 70s. So there used to be 500,000, I went and looked up a stat. There was 500,000 estimated homeless in the 70s, 75.
There's 500,000 homeless people in the United States?
No, it was like pulling from the west, something like that. Okay. But now, and these are terrible numbers, but it has estimated raised by 50%. You're laughing at my terrible numbers. But it has raised by 50%.
I'm putting some numbers out here, guys. I am putting some numbers out.
That are easy to find, that there is a massive raise in homelessness,
has gone up.
Pornography, fentanyl, you name it. I mean, all of the violence. It is not like we're not letting our kids go play on the beach. We're not letting our kids go play in Mariana's Trench. It's like that world isn't that world anymore. Yeah, and there's not as many kids, yes, but there's also I'm going to add, part of it was there was a lot of dark stuff that was happening that parents were ignorant of, and now has come to light. I mean,
Well, his point is that actually abduction rate is static. Like abduction and like sexual assault and that sort of stuff of kids, that has not actually changed. Okay. Our awareness of it has. Yes. It has an outgrown place in our mind, imagination, because it's so horrific. Mm-hmm. But like that fear of it has like washed over all of our thinking. But to your point, if you had 15 kids in your neighborhood,
is it fear or is it, somebody turned the light on? Oh yeah, don't go in there.
Maybe. But if you had 15 kids in the neighborhood and you let them run around, you'd feel a lot better. You'd be like, no, like the older kids know you don't walk into anybody's house, even if they offer cookies or whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And I think my argument and your argument are both from a stance of we live in something of a post-Christian America. Right. Our traditional values have gone out, and so
they're coming back.
What do you do with your kids? Yeah, they're coming back. But what do you do with your kids? Well, you don't go throw the weakest and the riskiest into the wolves.
Yeah, it's everything's charging back. I'm more excited and optimistic about the future. I was up in like the DFW area, and I went down a couple of streets, and I saw like two different sort of sections of a little town, and both of them had plywood bike ramps out on sidewalks. Nice. And I thought,
the world is healing.
Yes, that's right. And we're about to have, I mean, when you see plywood bike ramps, you know all is well.
There's entrepreneurship right there.
Yeah. Okay. So let me just read my last little bit. What is the impact of closing down of wilderness on the development of children's imaginations? This is what I worry about the most. I grew up with a freedom and a liberty that now seems breathtaking and almost impossible. Recently, my younger daughter, after the usual struggle and exhilaration, learned to ride her bicycle. Her joy at her achievement was rapidly followed by a creeping sense of puzzlement and disappointment as it became clear to both of us that there was nowhere for her to ride it, nowhere that I was willing to let her go. Should I send my children out to play? ... Even if I do send them out, will there be anyone to play with? Art is a form of exploration, of sailing off into the unknown alone, heading for those unmarked places on the map. If children are not permitted, not taught to be adventurers and explorers as children, what will become of the world of adventure, of stories, of literature itself? Done.
I don't know. There's only one way to find out, Michael.
Yeah.
Tut, little one. Yeah. Go on.
Also, have 6 more, and then you've got built-in gang. Friends. There's a built-in gang.
Yeah.
So,
I think that there is also something interesting in here about childhood, how it shapes, imagination, how it shapes creativity, the traditional ways of childhood. So ingredient in that, and of course, I think that's a realistic concern, and maybe even more pronounced now, with so much of childhood being dominated by digital interfaces, by digital interaction.
Screenagers.
Yeah. And that has a direct impact on business creativity, on that pioneering spirit in business, for future generations. Where's that going to come from? What's going to be the engine for that business creativity? Maybe it's going to be the traditional, hey, there's a problem, I'm gonna find a way to solve it.
Yeah. The concept of the invisible hand of commerce, you really can't underestimate it. I mean, if there's money to be made, if there's a life to be made, or an empire to build, somebody will find it. It'll find a
well, and there's more than a dozen kids between the 3 of us. We all know a lot of people who are having a lot of kids, and people who have more of this sort of mindset, the idea of expansion and pioneering. I'm hopeful for the future, even if I can't always point at the right numbers. I still feel like there's reason for optimism.
I don't know. I don't think they're going to get me a good cocktail in a can.
Maybe you're the guy for that. Let's just not gripe about the world's problems. Let's go tackle
solve
it.
them,
Yeah.
fix them.
All right, pioneer, oh pioneer. Okay, and I guess that's the end of the episode.
Thanks for joining us.